this morning. Today's Beast Texas segment is once again sponsored by Stiles Electric, proudly serving East Texas from offices in Mount Pleasant and Longview. Stiles Electric has provided reliable professional electrical services for over a quarter century. For quality workmanship and trusted experience, choose Stiles Electric and service that speaks for itself. Updates on our basketball state semifinals on the boys' side, of course. Matt, we have two East Texas schools that are headed to San Antonio for a shot at a state championship. St. Augustine kicked off Hearn last night, 63-55 in the 2AD1 semifinal that was played in Athens. They will be facing the winner of Panhandle versus Waco Meyer, which is being played this evening. But congratulations to the St. Augustine Wolves as they are headed for a shot at that state title.
It's really cool. A really neat atmosphere there. And I don't know if you saw, they were behind by about 7 or 8 points going in the fourth quarter. I mean, I thought that was a really impressive comeback in a high pressure situation.
They have quietly marched themselves to San Antonio. Not a whole lot you heard about St. Augustine coming into the playoff. Man, when they've gotten there, they've made a lot of noise. So congratulations to our friends down there in St. Augustine, and we'll be pulling for you down at the state tournament. They will be joined by Martins Mill, which defeated Mumford last night, 44-33. Excuse me, that was in the 2AD2 semifinal. That game was played at China Spring High School. And they will be facing a familiar foe in Lipan, which of course knocked off their girls last week in a matchup between Martins Mill and Lipan. But those two schools will be squaring off. Lipan will be coming into that one, Matt, with a 38-1 record on the season for a tough challenge for Martins Mill, which has had a pretty good record so far in and of themselves.
Yeah, that's going to be a barn burner. That's Clash of the Titans right there, no question about it.
And weather permitting, of course, I'm not so sure the weather is going to permit much today, but weather permitting, we do have a full slate of baseball and softball action going on around East Texas. Be sure and check your school's websites or your local newspaper to see where your team is playing and go out to the game and support them if you have an opportunity to do so. On the show today, we did want to run down, this Tuesday, of course, we want to run down the updated state rankings. First for softball, coming in on Texas High School Softball on their website, texashighschoolsoftball.com. We're looking at the 3A top 25 schools here. Not a whole lot of teams to look at here in the top 25 from our region, Matt. We do have number 19, Mineola, comes in along with Huge Springs and DeKalb. They're ranked 22 and 23 respectively. But that's it for our local 3A schools there in the top 25 here locally.
Yeah.
On the 4A side, going down the list here, we have Bullard that comes in at number 6, and Longview Spring Hill comes in at number 9. They have a big game going on this evening at number 14, Carthage, which will be hosting, of course, the Lady Panthers there. Sulphur Springs comes in at number 11 in the top 25 poll there in Class 4A. Lindale is number 13. The Lady Eagles with only one loss on the season coming into the night to play. They are 18-1. overall. And Van rounds out the top 25. The Lady Vandals come in with a 15-3-2 mark, and they are undefeated in district play, but they do round out and sneak into the top 25 this week. Moving on to the 5A ranks here, the only school from East Texas that is listed in the top 25 is the Hallsville Lady Cats. They've actually moved up a spot. Despite not playing last week, they will return to action tonight on the road at Texas High for their first district action. Since opening it up a couple weeks ago, the Lady Cats come in at 11-4-1, again ranked number 7 in the state in Class 5A. And then the 6A ranks, nothing here really to mention about local teams here, although you do have number 1 Waco, Midway, Kingwood, and Katy rounding out the top 3. But then coming into play Longview this evening is Forney. They are ranked 4th in the state. Again, they are 17-3, and they will be playing the Lady Lobos at Longview High School, weather permitting, this evening.
Yeah, wow.
That's a rundown of your local softball top 25 here, again, from Texas High School Softball.com. Let's go over to the boys' side. On the baseball side, again, Matt, I was unable to pull up the Texas High School Baseball.com site and top 25 poll because it is locked behind a paywall. And I'm just going to admit I have not paid the fee to get that. So I did find a poll that we could talk about, however, on the Texas High School Baseball Coaches Association, which I believe those two sites are fairly close to each other.
Yeah.
Just a couple of things here to notice here on the boys side. I do see in the 5A poll, there was no one there last week that we talked about, but Hallsville actually is now receiving votes in that poll. So Bobcats getting some attention around the state. The number one team in the state in 5A is listed as Grapevine. Just by the way, on the 6A side, the number one team in the state is Tomball, which they are undefeated through 13 games this season. Rockwall Heath is actually of course, in Longview and Legacy's district. They come in at number 10 in the 6A poll. Moving down to 4A, Pleasant Grove remains number 2 in the state. They were 14-2. And Matt, they were actually at the Hallsville tournament this past weekend. I do believe they were supposed to play Hallsville. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong on that, but I do believe those two were expected to play each other maybe on Saturday. Of course, that game got washed out.
Yeah.
In any event, they were here playing in the Wright Builders Classic. Lufkin Hudson comes in at number 7. They are 12-3. Right outside Lufkin there. And then Spring Hill is actually receiving votes in the Texas High School Baseball Coaches Association poll. Moving down to the 3A ranks, we do have a number 2 team in the state in 3A. That's Liberty Ilo. They were in the Hallsville this past weekend and actually lost to the Bobcats in a head-to-head matchup. They come into this week's action at 11-5 on the season. Nacogdoches Central Heights also receiving some votes in the 3A poll. And then rounding out the baseball side of the top 25 this week, nothing really to mention here locally. On the 2A poll, you got Collinsville as the number 1 team in the state, followed by Tom Bean and Axtell. Those are your top 3 teams according to the baseball coaches here in Texas. And so that is your weekly poll rundown here on the Right Team podcast for baseball and softball. Very
cool. It's getting here. I mean, I'm covering a district game tonight for Marshall, so I mean it's here. We're still waiting on basketball to finish, but we're going to turn around and baseball is going to be right on its heels.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe you said that the Lady Mavs softball game is going to be at 2 this afternoon. Is that correct?
That's correct. Nacogdoches is on spring break as well, so they've moved that to 2:00.
And again, we are expected here where we are to have some weather moving in later this morning, maybe lasting in through the afternoon. So as an old baseball father who spent many an hour watching the weather reports come in, hoping to get baseball games in, I'm going to say it's 50-50 whether y'all actually play those games today. But we'll see as the weather develops here in East Texas, but we are supposed to get some rain today and some maybe severe storms coming in. But hopefully they'll get those games in and won't have to reschedule, because I do know that throws havoc on coaches' schedules, not to mention radio stations, right?
For sure.
Want to thank Styles Electric again for hosting or actually sponsoring our Beast Texas segment once again. Appreciate your support of our podcast.